Fair warning everyone, there'll be spoilers ahead. But if you're someone who hasn't played this game and legitimately has not had some aspect of this story spoiled, then please tell me how in the hell you're watching this video, because I'm not aware of any internet provider that covers people living under a rock in a cave on the dark side of Mars. Undertale is one of those games, the kind of game that comes along, seemingly out of nowhere, and changes things. Love it or hate it, you can't argue that it wasn't impactful, altering not only how people view the very idea of RPGs, but also inspiring more than a few developers as well as countless fans. Which isn't a surprise, Undertale was made by someone with a genuine love for role-playing games, and Toby Fox had a vision. He had a story to tell and the skill to make it happen. And the pledging of over 10 times the asking amount on Kickstarter didn't hurt either. Like I said, it isn't surprising that Undertale became so beloved. It's an incredibly earnest story about forgiveness, second chances, love and monsters. It's captivated the hearts and minds of countless people, inspired an endless array of fan works, and been replayed constantly by the people who love it more than almost anything else. But I honestly find that last part ironic, because the game really doesn't want you to replay it. Because while Undertale is many things, it is also, at its core, a story about letting go. As I'm sure you're aware, Undertale is the story of Frisk, a human child who climbs Mount Ebott and falls into the underground, a land where monsterkind was banished after losing a war against humans long ago, trapped in place by a magic barrier and left to be forgotten. Frisk must then travel across this strange kingdom in an attempt to escape, meeting new people and befriending them along the way. What becomes apparent as you traverse the underground and survive each encounter though, is just how trapped each of the characters has become, and not just in the physical sense. Each of the major characters you encounter is struggling in some way, held by an idea or expectation they have, just as much as they are locked underground by the barrier. And as soon as you get to know and befriend them, you act as the catalyst for setting them free from both forms of imprisonment. Take Papyrus, for example. When you first meet him, he seems like a dedicated, if cheerfully doofy, aspiring member of the Royal Guard, fully intent on capturing Frisk so that he can join the Royal Guard and be popular. But the more he confronts you, the more and more obvious it becomes that this is only what he thinks he wants, and not what he truly needs. Papyrus seeks friendship and affirmation, and while he's absolutely strong enough to fight, stronger than most members of the Guard proper, his heart isn't in it. As Guard Captain Undyne says herself, she couldn't possibly send him into battle. He's too nice and he'd get hurt. What's more, Papyrus doesn't actually need to be a Royal Guard to be popular. He just needs to be himself. He's likable and plenty of people would happily be his friend. He just needs to find a way to connect, just as he did with you. Undyne is also caught up in the idea of the Royal Guard, not in becoming one, but in what her role represents. She thinks she needs to kill every human, needs to be the spear and shield for her people, and she is strong, there's no doubt about that. She's more than capable of being those things. But Undyne's worth is always revealed in how she strengthens others, in how she attempts to teach Papyrus to cook, in how she helps Alphys to see her own value. Undyne is a great warrior, but she better serves her people when she's standing beside them, not in front. Both Papyrus and Undyne need to let go of an idea of strength that has gotten in the way of their moving forward. Papyrus is so much happier when he has you as a friend and when he's just hanging out with Undyne. And Undyne herself, massive weeb that she is, would ask people to believe in the versions of them that she believes in, to see their strengths as she sees them. It's only once she sets aside her role as captain of the Royal Guard for a moment that she realizes what she really wants and what her people need. There will be a time when her martial might is needed, but right now, the strength of her heart is so much more important to her people. As you cross the underground and interact with monsters, it becomes clear that, despite them attacking you, they really don't want to. They think they need to. They think that you are their enemy and that killing you is the only way to be free, but you can help them let go of that notion. In showing each of them kindness and understanding, you demonstrate to them that they don't need to fight you. Nobody has to die. Nobody has to be hurt. There are other ways. Mettaton and Alphys are interesting because they're such polar opposites. Alphys clings to the idea of her past mistakes and is unable to move on, but Mettaton obsesses over the prospect of his coming future, of who he'll be when he gets what he desires. Alphys cannot move forward because she fixates on her past mistakes, though her only true crime is lying on her resume to get her job. What she cannot forgive herself for is more complicated. In an attempt to save the lives of dying monsters, she injected them with determination extracted from human souls, which did wake them up, but also melted them into the horrifying beasts called amalgamates. Alphys doesn't just think she's a failure, she thinks she deserves to be punished for her mistakes, which is why she locks herself away, endlessly tormenting herself in a guilt-fueled depression spiral, refusing to talk to people or show her face. The only thing that helps her to even start to come out of her shell is the arrival of the human, and while she does do it for selfish reasons, she is still helping you, even if she's dishonest about it. You can certainly argue over whether Alphys deserves to be punished or not, but the fact of the matter is that locking yourself away to wallow in misery doesn't actually help anything. And it's only when she sets aside her notion that she has to that she, and by extension those she inadvertently hurt, can move forward. Mettaton, meanwhile, stands apart from the other members of the cast, because he's someone who has let go of things. He's abandoned his old life, cast aside his old identity, and embraced his new self. Mettaton seemingly has nothing to lose and everything to gain by moving forward, and he's more than happy to lean into celebrity stardom to achieve his goals, and look damn good doing it. However, as much as this is a story about letting go, it doesn't ask you to let go of everything. Doing so would honestly only hurt. Mettaton learns this himself when he realises that his escape from his old life has also left his cousin Napstablook alone and sad, and while he may have desired to escape to the world above, he wouldn't be happy by himself. He would miss his cousin, he would feel bad leaving the residents of the underground without their favourite entertainer. He can let go of who he used to be without letting go of the people who loved him as well. Asgore and Toriel struggle with letting go more than most, though they also have more reason than most to cling on. Losing their children utterly destroyed them and drove them to make terrible choices, and the pain of it all still haunts them. Asgore was blinded by grief-stricken rage and proclaimed that he would take revenge on the humans that had stolen their future twice, declaring before his subjects that he would kill every human that fell into the underground, take their souls, destroy the barrier, and wage war against humanity. This gave his people hope, but it also locked both himself and his subjects into a cycle of violence that nobody really wanted. And yet, it was the only out that they could think of, so they would become locked into that mindset. Asgore would indeed harvest the souls of the children when they fell, an ever-increasing weight that would begin to destroy him, but what else could he do? Abandon the only hope his people had? Toriel, meanwhile, was disgusted with Asgore and declared her intent to protect future humans from his wrath. She'd build a home in the ruins, an exact replica of what she had back in her role as queen, and attempt to halt the progress of every child that fell into the underground, but she couldn't stop a single one. She was too fixated on what she'd lost, and could only think to offer the children a place to stay with her in her self-imposed exile. She could build a home, but she could never stop the children from wanting to leave, and she couldn't let go of her new role as caretaker of the ruins. If she had simply gone with them, perhaps their senseless deaths could have been avoided. But she was too blinded by her grief and disgust, and so began to stagnate in the ruins. Asgore and Toriel can only be pushed from their self-imposed roles by the arrival of you, the seventh human. Toriel cannot stop you, but she finally decides that she cannot allow you to face Asgore alone, and in the true pacifist route will stop you from ever fighting him, now willing to move on from the tomb of regret she'd locked herself in. Asgore, meanwhile, changes twice depending on the route you take. In the neutral route, you are first to battle him, and he even breaks your mercy button to ensure that fighting is the only option. Much like Alphys, he appears to believe he deserves to be punished. Should you win, however, you can spare him, and much as Toriel did, he revels in the short-lived hope that you could stay with him and be a family. In either route, Asgore is forced to step out of the role of reluctant murderer, though your triumph is short-lived either way. The flower, formerly known as, and also soon to be known as Asriel, stands as an object lesson on just how dangerous refusing to let go can be. Though he didn't ask to be brought back as a soulless flower, he spends the game biding his time until he can take control, not just of the game, but of you as well. In the neutral route, he kills Asgore and takes the souls for himself, their combined might granting him a level of determination even greater than yours and allowing him to wrest control of the save system from you, endlessly killing you and bringing you back until the souls rebel and allow you to protect yourself. Though hinted at in the neutral route, Asriel's true goal is revealed in full in the true pacifist route, when he absorbs the 6 human souls and the souls of every monster in the underground, and that goal is permanence. He doesn't want you to have your happy ending, because that means you'll leave. He's determined to hold you there forever. An eternity of battle with his best friend, so that he never has to let go, never has to be alone again. He's a child with the power of a god, throwing a tantrum because he can't get his way, because he can't process his feelings, and because he doesn't want to say goodbye. He doesn't want to let go of his sibling, of Kara, who you remind him of so much. Asriel is also grieving, but unlike his parents, he hasn't had anyone who could understand his pain, anyone who could be there for him. He's held on to the idea of Kara as his only and best friend, as the only person who could understand him, for so long that he'd rather destroy everything than allow someone even a little like them to leave again. But he can't hold on forever, because he doesn't want to fight. Kara is gone and he has to admit it. It's sad, but there's nothing else he can do. Because sometimes loving someone means letting go. The end point of all love is loss, but that doesn't make love any less worth it. It just means that the love was real. And Asriel does let go, learning the lesson the hardest way possible. And in letting go, he frees the monster kind. He may return to the form of Flowey, but at least the people you love will be free, and they'll get their happy ending. Because that's what you fought for, isn't it? Isn't this what you want? A happy ending? Isn't this the end? Well, that depends on you, doesn't it? On if you learned the lesson the game was intent on teaching. Because there is more to come after the ending. But the game really doesn't want you to see it. It begs you, literally begs you, to not play it again. Because to do so, it would mean taking away the happiness you fought so hard for. It would mean that you refuse to let go. Flowey is not the true villain of Undertale, and neither is Kara. No, that role falls to you, should you choose to ignore the lesson it sought to teach you, because the characters are happy, you know. They have everything they want, lives free from the underground. It's just that it doesn't involve you. Not Frisk, but you, the player. Can you take that lesson to heart? Can you let go of these characters you've grown to love so much for their sake? Are you capable of letting go? Or will you drag them back to you, stealing away their happiness just so you can experience it all again? I'll be honest, I can't do it. I've played this game twice, once on PC and once on console, and I haven't touched either one again. This footage isn't even mine, I got it off YouTube for the sake of this video, because I can't bring myself to play it again, and do that to the characters I love so much. I'm not here to make a moral judgment on that, by the way. It is just a game after all, and if you've gone back to play it again, if you've engaged in a true reset, then that's your choice. You bought the game, you can absolutely do what you want with it. I'll leave the morality of it up to your own conscience. Though I will say, if you're feeling defensive about that choice, then it sounds like you already know what it was. And the thing is, you don't need to fully let go of the game. The fandom is a wildly amazing place, filled with talented artists and writers and animators, all of who have taken their time with the game and made it into something to be shared and enjoyed. We'll always have the memory of Undertale, and it will always hold our hearts captive. And that is something that we never have to let go of. You probably think I forgot about Sans, don't you? Well, I didn't, but okay, fine. Let's talk about the Tumblr sexy man that killed the queen. Sans stands apart from the rest of the cast in a great many ways, but the greatest of which is that he's the last one to refuse to let go, because letting go for him would mean allowing everything to end, and he's not willing to do that without a fight. At the end of everything, hold on to anything. These words have meaning for a reason. Letting go of the things that hold you back is good, and letting go of those you love is sometimes necessary or just not a choice you get to make. But there are some things you should never let slip from your grasp. Sans knows this all too well, and should you engage in the genocide route, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sans stands as the last line of defense between you and the end of everything. If you've gotten that far, then it's safe to say that you didn't just refuse to learn the lesson of the game, you've outright rejected it, and it's something the game calls out multiple times. I'm not going to go over the whole of the genocide route, you know how it goes. You meticulously hunt down every last resident of the underground until you reach the Hall of Judgment, where the last remaining guard against destruction stands. And like I said, Sans calls you out on your bullshit. You'd rather destroy the game than let it go, and you commit genocide, not because you have to, but because it's the last thing you can do. It's all that's left, and you don't want it to end. At least that's how it seems to me. Maybe you're just a dick, who knows. But Sans isn't willing to make it easy. He holds on to anything, refusing to let go, because he's the only one who can hold on now. There are some things you should never let go of, and this is one of them. Of course, even Sans cannot stand up to you forever, and once you defeat him, you meet Kara, who wrests control of the game from you and destroys everything, because clearly that's what you wanted. You held onto the world of Undertale tighter and tighter until it broke, and you have no one to blame but yourself. Kara even muses over the twisted nostalgia you must feel if you choose to do it all over again. It must confuse them, this cruel obsession you have with breaking and fixing the thing you purport to love. But most people won't take it anywhere near that far. The world of Undertale may be beautiful and full of love, but so is the world that Undertale was created for, and that's where the game really matters. Most of us, I think, will content ourselves with allowing the game to be. We can let it go, and we can share our love of it with each other instead. We can take its lessons to heart and face our world with the memory of a game that made us truly happy, and gratitude for the man who made it all possible. Happy 10-year anniversary of Undertale, everyone. I'm sorry this is a little late. I hope you're always able to hold on to the things that truly matter and let go of the things that hold you back. Thank you for watching.